Breaking news! The week started with an atmosphere of joy mixed with concern. We have important updates and I'll tell you everything that's happening. But before we continue, please click the like button if you've been a Miami Dolphins fan for over 20 years. It's great to see fans of all ages. There are people here who were at the first game. If possible, comment like this: "Let's go Dolphin! Let's go to the Super Bowl!" Now let's get straight into it. Rookie minicamp just wrapped up, and we've got some clear winners and losers coming out of the first major evaluation weekend. Leading the charge is none other than first-round pick Kenneth, the monster defensive lineman out of Michigan. Standing 6 feet 3 inches, weighing in at 330 pounds, and drafted 13th overall, Grant made an immediate impact with his freakish athleticism. Videos circulating from camp show him slicing through drills with a fluidity that's absolutely unreal for someone his size. It's not just hype. This man is for real. He's not just big. He's explosive, agile, and relentless. Grant dominated double teams at Michigan, which freed up space for teammates like Mason Graham to feast. That kind of presence on the line is exactly what the Dolphins have been desperate for. It's clear the Dolphins didn't just draft him because they needed a big body. They drafted him because he's the kind of culture-setting high-motor player who changes the identity of a defense. And let's face it, even if Miami had a veteran DL alongside Zach Sealer, Grant would still likely win that starting job. That's how impactful he looks already. Photos, videos, and reports all point to the same thing. Kenneth Grant might just be a day-one difference maker. And in Miami, that's not just helpful, it's necessary. While Grant is generating buzz for all the right reasons, he's not the only standout. Wide receiver Theo Wise Jr., an undrafted free agent out of Missouri, might have just played his way into serious consideration for a roster spot. Remember this name. Wise isn't a burner, but what he lacks in speed he more than makes up for in body control, catch radius, and toughness over the middle. Dolphins beat reporters were all over him. ESPN's Marcel Louis-Jacques mentioned how Wise was high-pointing balls in traffic like a seasoned vet, and even Omar Kelly, despite not knowing his name at the time, which is just embarrassing for a beat writer, acknowledged the plays Wise made during minicamp. Miami didn't just stumble on Wise either. They gave him $230,000 right after the draft, one of the highest bonuses for any UDFA. That speaks volumes. This is a guy who spent time at Oklahoma before transferring to Missouri, and he's built like a prototype possession receiver at 6 feet 3 inches, 200 pounds. In a WR room that's essentially locked up in the top 4 spots, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Malik Washington, and River Crocraft, there's only 1 or 2 real opportunities left. Wise may already be pulling ahead of other UDFAs like Andrew Armstrong, AJ Henning, and Monterey Baldwin. Speaking of Armstrong, it's tough news for him. This guy led the SEC in receiving yards, ran a 4.51 at 6 feet 4 inches, 205 pounds, and had a stellar contested catch rate. He was considered one of the top UDFA WRs heading into the offseason. But after minicamp, it's Wise who's making the noise, not Armstrong, not Baldwin, not Henning. And when the media is buzzing this early about one undrafted guy, it's usually a sign he's seriously outperforming his peers. Now let's talk about a loser who didn't even need to show up to minicamp to take the L, veteran running back Alexander Mattison. Ollie Gordon, the Doak Walker Award winner from Oklahoma State, didn't put up gaudy numbers last season because opposing defenses stacked the box and dared OSU to pass. But he still showed incredible power and vision in tough situations. Built like Madison but even more physical, Gordon could steal that RB3 spot on the depth chart, with Devon Achane and rookie Jalen Wright likely locking up the top 2 roles. The third spot, especially for short yardage and goal line situations, is absolutely up for grabs. Gordon's size and production make him a real threat to Madison's roster security. If Gordon impresses in preseason, especially when pads come on and physicality becomes a factor, don't be shocked if he pushes Madison off the final 53. We've seen this movie before. Last season, Jeff Wilson was supposed to be part of the plan, and he ended up being a non-factor. Gordon could be this year's disruptor. There's still a long way to go, and the next phases, OTAs, mandatory minicamp, training camp, will tell us more. But these early signs are telling. Kenneth Grant looks like the real deal. Theo Wise Jr. may be this year's breakout UDFA, and Ollie Gordon might send a veteran packing. With the schedule release looming, the Dolphins' path to the playoffs, and possibly the Super Bowl, is about to become a little clearer. But let me ask you this. Do you think Theo Wise Jr. has what it takes to actually make this roster over someone like Eric Ezukama or Taj Washington? Let me know in the comments, and if you're ready, I'll bring you part 2 with even more insider buzz. Let's keep going because things are getting even more interesting behind the scenes at Dolphins camp. Theo Wise Jr. might be leading the UDFA receiver race right now, but that doesn't mean the story is finished, not even close. As we look ahead toward OTAs and eventually full training camp, everything is going to ramp up in intensity, and this wide receiver competition could go in a few different directions. But here's what we know right now. If the coaching staff was basing decisions solely off rookie minicamp impressions, Wise is sitting at the top of the depth chart among the undrafted wideouts. The key question is, will he be able to hold that momentum? Because let's not forget, pads haven't come on yet, and that changes everything. That's where players like Andrew Armstrong can catch up. Armstrong has size, length, and real athleticism, and you don't lead the SEC in receiving yards by accident. If he can start stacking good days once contact is allowed and one-on-one drills become more physical, we could see a swing in his favor. But he has to make it happen quickly. The margin for error is razor thin. There's likely only one UDFA wide receiver spot available, and Wise is already earning praise from multiple beat reporters while others haven't even been mentioned. Now, about that other player hanging by a thread, Eric Ezukanma. Once a promising draft pick, his time in Miami has been marked by inconsistencies and injuries. He was inactive for most of last season and hasn't been able to carve out a reliable role. He's currently staring down real competition from hungry, overlooked guys who are out to prove they belong. If Wise continues to stack impressive practices while Ezukanma remains quiet, the decision becomes easier for the Dolphins coaching staff. Roster spots in the NFL aren't given, they're earned. And right now, Wise is earning it. And while we're at it, let's circle back to the running back situation, because the competition behind the starters is also heating up. As much as we love the explosive speed and outside zone capabilities of Devon Achane and Jalen Wright, every team needs that bruiser for short yardage and red zone situations. Ollie Gordon might be the guy who fills that role. With his frame and lower body strength, he was a menace for defenders at Oklahoma State, even when facing loaded boxes. He's built for NFL contact, and with 3 preseason games ahead, that's where Gordon will need to shine. He'll need to show decisiveness through the gaps, ball security, and the ability to gain tough yards after contact. This puts a ton of pressure on Alexander Mattison. Signed as a veteran presence, he was supposed to be that short yardage solution and locker room leader, but Gordon's rise could make him expendable. Let's be real, this isn't a Dolphins backfield that needs a veteran to carry the load. They need explosiveness, efficiency, and upside. Gordon offers that. Mattison? He's a known quantity with a ceiling that's already been hit. Now if we zoom out a bit, the Dolphins' offseason strategy is becoming clearer. They're trying to get younger, more physical, and more cost-efficient at key depth positions. The rookies, especially Grant, Wise, and Gordon, are making strong first impressions, which means veterans and fringe players need to wake up or they'll be on the outside looking in. Remember, this team isn't rebuilding. They're trying to contend, and that means the window for proving your worth is short, brutally short. On top of all this, the Dolphins' regular season schedule drops this week. We already know the international game in Madrid is locked in against the Commanders, reportedly in Week 11, but the rest of the slate could be full of challenges that demand depth, versatility, and durability. If Miami wants to make a real playoff push, they can't afford to carry players who can't contribute on game day. Every spot matters. The energy around this team feels different, and not just because the offseason workouts are underway. There's a hunger in the air. Players like Kenneth Grant are bringing it. Theo Wise Jr. is seizing every rep like his NFL future depends on it, because it does. And Ollie Gordon is quietly positioning himself as the surprise of the offseason. Now I want to know from you, Dolphins Nation, who do you think deserves that final WR spot on the 53-man roster? Should Theo Wise Jr. make the team over Eric Ezukanma or Taj Washington? Or are you still pulling for Andrew Armstrong to rise back up? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel, smash that like button if you haven't already, and keep it locked here because the next video is on the screen right now, covering the full breakdown of the Dolphins' upcoming schedule, all the primetime games, the international matchup, and what it means for our playoff hopes. Let's go Dolphins!